Hello everybody, right, let's have a quick roundup then of what's gone on and what's going on and what's going to happen probably with Bitcoin and all these other coins we like to look at. So Bitcoin basically has been making the moves. On the daily chart here, seeing we're reaching the top of the Bollinger Band, finding ourselves a bit of a rejection, but not an actual pullback, but a bit of a rejection. Let's have a look at historically where that level actually lies. It lies amongst the top of these basically candlesticks around this level. But ideally what we want to do is get above these two candlesticks here, and preferably the wicks closing above 9,900. That would be basically super bull time, but 9,650 would be pretty bullish too for continuation. But the chances are we're not going to be able to do this immediately, because we've had nice big moves overnight, we've had nice big moves these last few days, and in all fairness, for the last few weeks we've had decent moves from it too. So what I'm saying now is that basically if you have a look at these two indicators here, we've got the MACD, which has got a positive cross, but it's quite high up in pretty bullish territory. It can't really get too more extended than that. I mean, obviously it can, but look, I mean, this is how high we were before. That's twice, it's double, more than double where we were before. But look what happened after that. I mean, this is a daily chart, bear in mind. So we were right up that high. We had to come all the way back down to these levels before we even started to make bounces. We don't want to start that whole shenanigans again. We don't want that at all. We need time to chill out. We need time to relax. Look at the RSI. The RSI came right up and way overextended and had to come back down again. So basically, we're at a level now where we pretty much would say that this is a reasonable area to sell at. And again, I'm not a financial advisor. It's not financial advice. But this could be a comfortable level to sell at and wait for either a pullback. If you're holding your coins, obviously don't go selling them. Just keep hold of them. You know, you've got nothing to lose. But if you're margin trading, you know, like what I do, I would probably think about selling around this level now, because the RSI has to come back down in order for us to gain another attempt and another run at breaking this bullish territory, which is not, we've actually not closed above there yet. We need to close above there for it to then have continuation to make higher highs, you know, making our way up to our most previous all-time high and maybe our actual all-time high. So what we need to do is we need to chill out on this RSI. RSI is basically bouncing off the top here and bouncing off again. It needs to come back down to, I'd say, about 60 or more for us to have a decent attempt to make a really big run of around about, you know, $1,000 move or something like that. We're not going to be able to do that at this level. I mean, technically it's possible, but it wouldn't be healthy. It would mean that we would come back and crash and burn almost. So we don't want that. In order for us to come down, it would mean that there will be a negative cross on the MACD. This one had a negative cross, obviously, but it didn't really play out too much. The negative cross will have to happen, and we will make some bearish movements on it, but I don't believe at this point now that Bitcoin is essentially, it's not bearish, is it? So we have to allow that to reset, we have to allow this to cross, and we have to have the price action come down a little bit in order for us to make that big stab to break above 9,550 and closing above 9,650 personally. And then once that's done, we will start to really see some big bold moves from Bitcoin. But we can't do it yet. We're not at that. We're just not ready. We're out of fuel at the moment. We need to recharge. So that's the deal with Bitcoin. And that should convey into the majority of these coins. You know, all of that TA is going to apply to the majority of these coins. So what we see where we're looking at XRP first of all is that the RSI is not overextended, so that gives it more room to go. It could have another run, maybe up to as much as 25.7 cent, maybe breaking above the Bollinger Band, hitting the green, the 200 EMA and the 200 simple. So a clear rejection point would happen there. That's possible. The MACD looks like it wants to have a positive cross, so there looks like there's room to be for XRP to make another move. It depends what Bitcoin does. If Bitcoin gets pulled back significantly, then I would expect alts to pull back significantly. The other thing that could happen with Bitcoin is that we will stay at this price action for a prolonged period of time, maybe a week or so. That would give all these alts a chance to pick up and make these further attempts. Technically a miniature alt season, you know, you could call it that, but it wouldn't be too much because we're still quite high on the RSI, but we've still got plenty of room to go on XRP specifically. Just looking at XRP now, so the XRP does have room to move, doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to move. Anyway, let's have a look at Litecoin. So Litecoin quite overextended, could afford a bit more of a move. but it doesn't look quite like XRP. So actually XRP looks stronger at the moment than Litecoin. Litecoin is definitely going to mimic Bitcoin's moves, and that's pretty much all I've got to say about it. It's probably not going to do what Bitcoin does, as in like Bitcoin is where the money's at right now. Litecoin's got less involved in it. You could see some big moves on it, but it's going to do what Bitcoin does when Bitcoin does it. But I couldn't tell you if it's going to move at a higher pace, a faster pace, and gain more. I couldn't tell you. But it's a standard looking alt at the moment. We've not got a golden cross on this. We're above a lot of the major moving averages though, so which is good. But RSI is pretty high, and technically we haven't had a positive cross. We might have one soon. Maybe we'll see what happens tomorrow. We'll have to see what happens tomorrow. Ethereum is basically the same kind of deal as that. We are above all major moving averages, above the cloud, which is great. We also have had a positive cross, which is better than Litecoin, but the RSI is very high, so it can't go much further. We're basically being rejected from our previous rejection points here, 1, 2 and 3, so to get above 178.50 we would probably find a pullback shortly after that. We'll be reaching the top of the Bollinger Band anyway at 183, and that's probably as high as I would expect to see this one go on this move. We need to pull back on Ethereum just like we need to pull back on Bitcoin, or we need to stay the same. So I'm not really expecting a great deal out of that, and if we do, we'll have a significant pullback. Binance Coin, pretty much the same deal. Again, all these major alts are trending in exactly the same way. They've pretty much got the same chart, which is some form of deviation of Bitcoin, so very similar to Bitcoin, but actually not quite as strong at the moment, but a little bit of room to go on the RSI. MACD is neither here nor there, so maybe there'll be an alt season, but it wouldn't last very long, a day or two at the very most, but I can't say if that's definitely going to happen. MATIC, let's have a look at MATIC. So MATIC's definitely different. MATIC's got plenty of room to go on the RSI, and we've had quite a long period now of accumulation on the MACD, which is good, and we're actually still in positive territory, in bullish territory actually, not had a negative cross on that. We're above all major moving averages, even though they're all pretty much in the same place. We are above them all. About to head into this cloud now, which could pose a bit of a problem, but if it does make a move, expect to see rejections at 2 cent, because historically that's where we've been rejected twice now on our after this crash, and we have found ourselves rejected from there several times in the past after the parabolic top. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's a lot of times that we've been rejected from 2 cent. So 2 cent would be a rejection point for MATIC. If it doesn't get rejected in there and pushes right through, I would expect to see it come all the way up to around about 2.7 cent, which is again where we were rejected from twice here. Big rejections, the biggest rejection ever, apart from the top of the parabolic move, that would be. So yeah, a rejection up at this point there, but breaking up above there, that should be good for MATIC. But we don't want to see big, bold, massive, huge MATIC style moves again, because we will have big style MATIC dumps as well. We don't want to see that. But MATIC's actually looking quite good. Maybe the biggest one opportunity wise of all these alts that I've just looked at. Maybe XRP looks like it's good for in the short term, but MATIC definitely has room to move, the most room to move. But again, I'm not a financial advisor, so don't go buying things because you think I'm giving it a positive review. It's MATIC is very unpredictable by nature, and I'm not a financial advisor, so it's not financial advice. So do your own research, learn to do your own TA, and definitely only risk what you can afford to lose, because MATIC is good at losing people money, clearly. Right, and finally, we'll just have a look at one coin. So one, again, another one of these coins that we like to look at on this channel, because my Telegram group has become very attached to this coin. Personally, I'm still not seeing it. I'm not seeing it, but I know that they're looking at it with a different lens, their lens of fundamentals, and which is something I don't do. So looking at it as a chart on its own, it doesn't look that great. We have had a period of accumulation, but it's not actually done anything. I would have expected to see a move by now, and we've not seen that move. And unfortunately, it looks as though if we carry on in this negative territory, well, it's not negative, but we're not making higher highs anymore. We're slowly petering out. we're basically going to have a negative cross on the MACD, and even though we have been making higher highs, RSI and MACD and everything like that, even price action technically has been slanting upwards, which all looked quite good for accumulation, but we are heading into this cloud now, which means that it's probably going to push our price action down ever so slightly, unless something gets pulled out the bag in these next few days. Price action will go down, and we'll have a cross here on the MACD on the daily, and that will start to probably bring us down again. So it's not looking great unless something amazing can happen. Its volume is very low, so I do have money invested in this, but I'm considering bailing now while I'm still, technically a little bit in profit by a few pence. I'm not really feeling it at the moment. And if Bitcoin wants to pull down and all the other alts pull back with it, then one will probably feel that too. So I'm not really sure what to say about one at the moment. We'll have to give it 2 more days to see how it reacts to this cloud here. But again, with the volume so low and the chart looking like it wants to actually begin another downtrend, I'm not really sure. Might just hold it for the gamble, but in just looking at this right now, it's not made its move, and it should have made a move by now, and it hasn't, unfortunately. So, might be considering cutting my losses on this one, even though I'm technically not yet at a loss, but I will be shortly if I carry on holding it. Yeah, so nothing great about one, unfortunately. MATIC appears to be the strongest of all that we've looked at, and XRP. And obviously, we all know, like I say, what I've explained with Bitcoin. What we expect to see with Bitcoin, the market will follow, generally speaking. Anyway, I'm going to leave it with you there. Thanks for watching. Hope you have a nice evening. Take it easy, and see ya.